proceeding on application Z14-000004. First, I'd like to let everyone know that the City of Tifton's written public hearing procedures, the City of Tifton standards for exercising zoning powers, and a copy of Georgia Conflict of Interest Law are available as a handout and are posted for public review. The matter under consideration tonight regards this application. They're requesting a major modification of the present plan development overlay of property located at parcel T039025. The tract borders on 26th Street to the south, Love Avenue to the east, 28th Street to the north, and Central Avenue to the west. This property is currently zoned R20 PDO and remain that zoning characteristic. This modification will allow the development of property with 34 attached single-story, single-family dwellings consisting of 6 buildings with 4 residences each and 3 buildings with 3 residents each for a total of 34 units. The original PDO is for a 2-story condominium complex consisting of 3 buildings with 6 units each and 3 buildings with 8 units each for a total of 42 units. Prior to going into any further, I need to ask some conflict questions of council. Have any of these applicants, or the applicant is Slalom South LLC. Have any of these applicants or opponents to the application contributed at least $250 to any of the campaigns for election during the past 2 years?
No.
Do you or any members of your family own property that would be impacted by this classification application, whether it be a positive or negative impact?
No.
Remind me where that property is.
It is, it's bordered by 26th Street to the south, Love Avenue to the east, 28th Street to the north, and Central Avenue to the west.
No, I wouldn't.
Do you or any members of your family have an interest in a business that will be impacted by this classification application, whether it be a positive or negative impact?
No.
Prior to taking public input, I'm going to ask Mr. Burke Crow if he would come and explain this project and give the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Council. We received an application back in July for this modification to the plan development overlay that has been presented to you from 42 down to 34 units, single story. I have a drawing of some very close to what would be actually photos of what it would be, and then the information that's been posted both during the workshop and here tonight for the public to see. We did go before the Planning and Zoning Commission on August the 7th with unanimous vote to approve it. That is the staff recommendations from my staff also. And are there any questions involved in it?
Thank you, Brian.
First, I'll hear anyone who would like to speak in favor of the application. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of the application? There, I see no public input. I'd ask that the public hearing be closed.
Will be closed, yeah.
All right, Mayor, the next matter that we have before the council concerns the alcoholic beverage license of Santos Lounge. It's alcoholic beverage license number 01225. There's been a citation issued to Mr. Hamad Kumar Patel in Santos Lounge regarding the determination by the city manager that certain matters exist that may be looked into for the suspension and termination of that license. With that, Mayor, I'd like to call some witnesses regarding incidents down at Santos Lounge. First, I'd like to call Rona Martin. Mr. Rona, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, could you just state what you do and what your name is?
I'm the city clerk for the city of Tifton. My name is Rona Martin. I also issue business and alcohol license.
And are you familiar with a business and alcohol license that was issued to Santos Lounge?
Yes.
Can you tell the council what type of license that is?
It's an entertainment establishment for alcohol license.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
I'd like to call Officer Lynn McCulley. Officer McCulley? Why don't you have to just stay up there at the podium? Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, if you would just state your name, please,
Officer Melissa Lynn McCulley,
and how are you employed,
Tifton Police Department.
and how long you've been employed at the Tifton Police Department.
Almost 10 years.
All right. Officer McCulley, did you have an occasion to respond to an incident back on August the 2nd of this year?
Yes, I did.
All right, what was the nature of the call?
It came out as a fight call that someone had been injured. It was just after 3 o'clock in the morning. Myself and Officer McStott were the first officers on scene. When we pulled up, there was a crowd around a car in the Fast and Off parking lot, and we could see blood on the ground. But at that time, we hadn't figured out exactly who was the victim, who was hurt, anything like that. As we were approaching the car and the people around it, the security officer, Danny Fudge, came up and yelled and said, "Lynn, there's somebody else hurt over here." So at that time, I left Officer McScott with the people around that car, and I went and made contact with the other victim. That was Mercury Mason Macario.
All right, and when you got the call, was that a call to go to Santos Lounge?
Yes,
And did you go to where Mr. Mesa was?
yes, I did.
And where was he?
He was actually on Poplar Street. He was headed, walking away, and I was flagged down again by said it was his mother, but it wasn't his mother. It was a lady named Penny. She said that he's hurt. So I called for him to come back to walk towards me. And at first I wasn't sure if he spoke English because I could tell he was Hispanic. So I asked Penny, I said, does he understand English? I said, if he doesn't, tell him to come here. I'm not here to, I'm not here to get him in trouble. I want to make sure he's okay.
When you saw Mr. Mesa, could you tell whether or not he was injured?
Yes.
What injuries did you observe?
He had blood running down his face. I could see a cut right around here. His whole side of his face was covered with blood. As I got closer to him, he also had another cut that's come on the back of his head. He had some scratch marks, and then he had some puncture wounds along his right side.
Did you call EMS to the scene?
I did.
All right, to take care of Mr. Mesa?
Yes.
How old was Mr. Mesa?
He told me he was 16.
Did he tell you where he had been?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me he had been in Santos.
Did he tell you you'd been drinking in Santos?
Yes, he did.
Officer McCulley, have you had an occasion to go to Santos Lounge on any other calls here recently?
Yes.
All right, when was that?
That was at July 6th. I wasn't actually called out there. I was just on patrol, and I seen Danny Fudge, the security officer, waving me down. And as I seen him, there was 2 women fighting outside the club.
Did you make an arrest on that occasion?
Yes, I did.
And what was the arrest for?
Disorderly conduct.
What is your shift with the police department?
Right now, I'm on day shift. Today's our first day shift. I have been on night shift, which was, we come in at 17:45, on the road at 6, and then work until 6 in the morning.
When you are on night shift, do you have an occasion to do what we call walk-throughs at Santos Lounge?
Yes.
And can you tell me, let's say since January 1st of this year, how many times you may have walked through Santos Lounge?
It's, when we work every other weekend, so on the weekends that I work, I would go there at least once a night.
All right, so we're talking 20 times maybe more?
Probably.
When you do your walk through Santos Lounge, have you seen people in Santos Lounge under the age of 18?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
Every time I've been in there.
All right. How can you tell they're under 18?
Well, they're this tall.
So they're
I
children,
mean,
is that right?
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Officer, my name is Paul Hampton. I'm an attorney from Nashville, Georgia. I represent the Patels and Santos Lounge in this matter. Do you, these types of instances that you respond to, are these normal type of instances that you respond to at any bar in Tifton?
Other than kids being involved, yes.
Okay, so there have been no underage drinking events at any other bars in the city of Tifton?
No, that's not what I said. I've arrested
Well, you said
people,
kids.
like little children that are, you can pretty much tell they're not 18, not old enough to be in a bar.
Are they there with their parents?
Yeah. That would be my guess, that they were there with parents.
What action did you take when you noticed these children in the bars other
I
on the
didn't
county?
take any. It was my understanding that they had a restaurant license and that children would be allowed in there.
In the past 3 months, has there been any other place in town, bar, where there's been a fight where EMS has been called?
As far as EMS called, not that I haven't responded with EMS.
Okay, how about a fight?
There's been a couple fight calls at other bars, yes.
Where are those at?
The locker room and the gym.
The gin?
The gym and the locker room.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
Just a couple of questions, Lynn. When did you become aware that the status of Santos's Lounge license had changed from a restaurant to an entertainment establishment?
Well, I found out that they were no longer serving food on the night of August 2nd with the Macario, amazing Macario when he was injured. Because the girl that he was at the bar with, her mother also responded to the emergency room where he was taken. And she was asking me how come her daughter was allowed into a bar. And by that time, Maze's mother and I believe had already made it to the hospital. And I was explaining to them, well, they have a restaurant license, so children are allowed to be in there. So it's not something that I would pay attention to. And that's when I was told by Maze's mother that they no longer serve food.
That's all. Thank you. Attorney McStott. Raise your right hand, sir. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, stuff you got?
I do, sir.
Just state your name, please.
Terry McStott?
And you work for the Tifton Police Department?
Yes, sir, I do.
Officer McStott, did you have an occasion to respond to an incident on August the 2nd of this year?
Yes, I responded along with Officer McCulley to a report of a fight at Santos. We followed each other in, basically. As we were pulling in, noticed a large crowd gathered right in front of Fastenal. So pulled over there. There's one individual covered with blood. There was blood all over the ground area. I was checking on him. Officer McCulley got called off with Mr. Fudge to check with another individual at that time.
Did you make an arrest that night?
Yes, sir, I did.
And who did you arrest?
I don't remember the gentleman's name right off the top of my head, but it was a gentleman I was with, an older adult, about 35 years of age, that was intoxicated, and he was the one covered with blood.
What charge did you?
We charged him with aggravated assault.
What was the basis of the aggravated assault charge?
Based on the statement from the witnesses that he had possessed the bottle that had hit the victim and was used on the victim. He had cuts to his hands from the broken glass.
Officer Mustat, as part of your duties with the Tifton Police Department, do you have an occasion to walk through Santos Lounge?
Yes, sir. I'm a traffic officer, and usually if we're working a Friday, Saturday night, I will go in the local bars, make a walkthrough, just a show of presence in that, and get a pulse for the idea as to what's going on. And a general feel for the atmosphere, and then continue back on the road.
Since January the 1st of 2014, have you had an occasion to do walkthroughs and see individuals who were under the age of 18?
Yes, sir, I have.
And how many occasions?
Probably about a dozen different occasions that when I've gone and done my checks.
How do you know they were under 18?
Well, most of them were children that were asleep on the benches, whether parents were there or not. But they were laid out, some of them as young as 3 years of age.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
All right, questions?
Thank you.
Sir, may we be dismissed?
Yes, you may, please. Yep. Amanda Fairclough? You're going to go to work if you don't have any problem with anything. Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you're about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you.
All right, if you would just state your name.
Officer Fairclough.
All right, and you work for Tifton Police Department? Did you respond to a call back in July of this year to Santos Lounge?
I did. That was where 2 women were fighting and a 16-year-old was involved. Her mother was one of the people fighting and the 11-year-old was also there herself. I don't recall the names.
That's fine. Do you also do walkthroughs to Santos Lounge?
I've only done a few.
All right. Have you ever seen individuals under the age of 18 at Santos Lounge?
Yes.
All right. On how many occasions?
3, 4.
All right. Did you have occasion to take some of them home? Is that right?
Yes. I delivered 2 13-year-olds one night that were just leaving there going to walk home.
And has that been since January of this year?
That was in May, I believe. We had just went back to night shift.
Thank you. Farron Yee. Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, if you would just state your name for the record, please,
Farron Yee.
and your occupation.
I'm a detective with the Tifton Police Department.
All right. Detective Yee, did you have an occasion to investigate an incident that happened back on August the 2nd at Santos Lounge?
I did.
Did you have an occasion to interview a Mr. Meza?
Yes, sir, I did.
How old was Mr. Meza?
Mr. Meza is, I believe, 16 years old. Let me make sure. He is 16.
Did you get a statement from Mr. Meza as far as where he had been and what caused the fight?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you?
He said that, in reference to the fight at Santos, he said that he had been at Santos, was drinking alcoholic beverages, and there was a situation, I think there were 2 separate situations, where one was involving his 13-year-old girlfriend who was also there, and I don't know if somebody else was being flirtatious with her, or I think that was also an issue, but then Mr. Patel wanted everyone to get out of the bar because it was time to close, or whatever the reason may have been. And he said that Mr. Patel had pushed her or, somehow made physical contact with her while they were exiting the bar, that he was a little angry about that. There was a physical confrontation that took place between him and Mr. Patel, and then the fight escalated outside. Whenever the fight was outside, he had said that there were some gang members who recognized him to be a part of a gang, which he claims to not be in a gang anymore, but they then started a physical confrontation with him, which he was hit in the head with a beer bottle, stabbed with that beer bottle, and then he walked down the road, and that's when officers made contact with him.
Did you have an occasion to interview Mr. Patel, the owner of the establishment?
I did.
And when did you interview him? Do you recall?
When did I interview him? It was just the next day, or maybe a couple days after the incident occurred. I'll give you an exact date. On August 3rd of this year.
Did you ask Mr. Patel about whether or not he realized that juveniles were in his establishment?
I did.
All right. What did you ask him, and what did he say?
Well, I asked him if he knew Brittany Watson, who was the 13-year-old, and Mesa, and he said that he did. And I asked him if he knew how old they were, and he said he did not in fact know that Brittany Watson was 13, but he thought she was 14. And he did not know that Mr. Mesa was 16, and he thought that he was 17.
Did you have an occasion to go back and interview Mr. Mesa again, juvenile?
Yeah, what I just said, that was the second time that I talked to him. The first time was when he was actually at the hospital. So
Okay.
everything that I've said was the second time I went back and talked to him.
Has Mr. Mesa been to Santos Lounge prior to August the 2nd?
Yes.
Did he tell you about how many occasions?
He said, you know, probably well over 20 times. He told me that he had been going to Santos for about 3 years.
Does he tell you whether or not he drinks when he's at Santos?
Yes, he said he does.
What about checking IDs? How does he get in Santos?
He says he just walks in, that nobody has ever asked him for an ID.
So, thank you. Melissa Mesa. Raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I
If you would just tell the council your name,
do. Melissa Mesa.
and where do you live, ma'am?
I'm in Enigma, Georgia.
Are you the mother of, is it Macario? Yes. Is he the young man that got injured?
Yes,
Melissa, are you familiar with Santos Lounge?
yes,
Have you been employed there?
yes,
Are you employed there now?
yes.
During the time that you've been employed, now particularly since January 2014, have you had an indication to observe people under the age of 18 in the club? On how many occasions?
Just about every time that I'm there.
Do you know whether or not they check IDs at Santos Lounge?
Well, I know most of the time they don't.
Okay.
I know they ask them to check the IDs, but a lot of times the DJ that works there, he controls a lot of stuff, and I know he's told the ones that works at the door that they don't have to check IDs.
Okay. Have you seen people under the age of 21 being served alcoholic beverages at Santos?
Well, I've seen them drinking alcohol. I don't know maybe if somebody else is buying it for them, but on some occasions I have seen some go up there and get it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Karen Macias.
Rob, what was that last name?
Macias, M-A-C-I-A-S. Can you raise your hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
If you would just state your name for the council.
Karen Macias.
All right, Karen, are you familiar with Santos
Yes.
Lounge? And how is it that you're familiar with Santos
I
Lounge?
go with my sister.
Okay, and was that your sister we just heard from?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Karen, have you ever seen people under the age of 18 in Santos Lounge since January 2014?
Yes, sir.
On how many occasions?
Just about a time in there.
Do you know whether or not they check IDs?
I've never seen them.
Do you know, have you ever seen anyone under the age of 21 being served alcoholic
Yes, sir.
beverages? On how many occasions?
Quite a few.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, Chief Buddy Dowdy. Raise your hand, please, sir. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, would you state your name and your occupation, sir?
My name is Douglas M. Dowdy Jr. I go by the name of Buddy. I'm the chief of police here in Tifton.
Chief Dowdy, did I ask you to review your records and determine the number of calls that you received to go to Santos Lounge, your department?
Yes, you did.
And can you tell me the number of calls that you received since January 2013?
67.
Can you tell me the nature of those calls?
9 were fight calls. 28 of these were loud musics, nuisance calls, and EMS has also been dispatched there 8 times since January 1st, 2013.
Yes, Chief Downey, did you have an occasion to have a conversation with Mr. Patel regarding this incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
And when was that conversation?
That would have been September 4th at 2:40 p.m.
All right. Did anything come up in your conversation with Mr. Patel concerning underage people being in his establishment?
Yes, sir. The nature of the call, the first thing he asked, wanted to know if I could help him obtain an attorney, and I told him that I was not allowed to do that. It'd be unethical for me to provide him with counsel. He asked me 3 or 4 different times if I could help him get an attorney, which I kept explaining that I couldn't. And then he asked me if he was in very much trouble, and I told him that last year you hardly ever met the 50% requirement for the restaurant / mixed drink license. And I said, now we find out you're allowing underage people to go into your establishment. And his response was, well, I thought they were responsible people. He told me that 2 or 3 different times, and I told him that he could not make that determination. I used an analogy. If you knew a 13-year-old who could drive, you wouldn't be allowed to let them drive down the street because the laws don't allow 13-year-olds to drive down the street. And I also reminded him that we had a 16-year-old who was stabbed there in August, and he was accompanied by his 13-year-old girlfriend, and I reminded him that he knew that these kids were underage. And again, he responded, well, I thought they were responsible people, so I allowed them in.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I just have a few brief questions. You said there were 67 calls.
Yes, sir.
9 were fight calls, 28 were for loud music. What were the other calls?
Oh, well, I have the log here if you'd like to look at it.
Yeah, can I?
Sure.
You received it? Now, is this more than any other establishment in town?
I don't have any numbers on the other establishments, sir.
Can you give me just educated guess? It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, is that about the same amount of calls you get to the gym?
If you want to guess, I would establish this as many more than we receive anywhere else, if you want to guess.
Okay. Well, how many do you think you've had at the gym since January?
I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't gather a guess that.
How about that other place that was mentioned by the first officer who was up
The
there?
locker room?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know?
No, sir.
Do you know how many people in this town have been cited for drinking underage
No,
since
sir, I don't.
January 1st?
No, sir.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Chief. Counsel, that's all we have. For evidence. Mr. Patel?
I don't know if the council has intention to, I understand you have 30 days before you make a decision as to
That's correct.
what you're going to do. I would ask you, I recently was retained to represent Santos. I would like to follow up. I don't know if Mr. Wilmot has any objection. I may have something by letter I'd like to submit to the council prior to you considering what you're going to do. I ask for your indulgence on that. Of course, I would copy Mr. Wilmot, and I don't know if you want me to get it to you to get to them, however you'd like to do that, but I'd just like an
I
opportunity.
prefer to come through you to us.
Okay.
Or you,
And-
Larry.
As fine, Mayor, I do believe though, since this is the hearing, that if Mr. Hamilton, I'm sorry, Paul, if you'd like to offer any evidence or testimony, go ahead and be taken at this time.
Well,
You prepared to,
no, I don't have any of that. As I said, I was retained Friday afternoon, so I don't have any evidence or testimony. I may just have some argument. I know what Mr. Wilmot's getting at, and I don't intend to try to introduce or open up the record again. I simply may have some argument for the council to consider.
Mayor, what I would, if it's all right with Mr. Hamilton, maybe what we could do, if it's, give him perhaps 10 days to make a response through me to council.
okay.
And then, I guess what I could do is then, if you don't mind, Paul, I'll make a response to your argument in writing,
Sure.
and then we'll submit it.
Okay.
Okay, and then you'll have 20 days from that point. Now, I do believe that your, the time that you make your decision is going to have to be at a regular meeting, so we'll probably need to schedule, have your decision in October.
So October the 5th.
Seeing how we had this meeting a week late because of the Labor Day, we'll have the next meeting the first Monday. That would be less than 30 days, wouldn't it?
That's okay, as long as we do it within 30 days.
I see. Okay.
So with that, we'll be,
October 6th.
October the 6th will be our regular meeting, at which time you'll be asked to make a decision on what, if anything, to do concerning this license.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the status of the business now? Is it closed? Is it
No.
suspended? Is it open?
Yes, it's open.
Thank y'all. I'll submit that to Mr. Wilmot.
Thank
We look forward to seeing it.
Okay, thank you.
Let me close this hearing.
you. Mayor, I think that concludes that matter, and I've asked it to be closed.
Yes, sir. Hearing is closed.
Yeah, any witnesses that were here are excused? Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I want to give you a little update. Most of my friends out here, but anybody that knows a little bit about it. My mom's 85 years old. She happens to be in ICU right now at Tifton General Hospital. And keep an eye on her. She's got a couple of setbacks, but we're just praying that everything's going to be fine. You know, when you have an 85-year-old mom, you still don't want to let go. I want to live to be at least 110. So I would appreciate it if I see many of my friends out here. You know, just keep my mother, B. Caterers, and just keep her in your prayers. And I also want to say this in case one of these phones goes off and it's the hospital. Rob, you might want to look out, 'cause I'm probably going to leap over and head out the door. But I will be moving pretty quick.
And I will be moving that just as quick.
Thank y'all for indulging me. I've asked Julie, and she's been so gracious to agree to give us the prayer. Once Julie has the prayer, then we'll all stand and face this beautiful flag that we have back here, and we will pledge allegiance. Ms. Julie.
And if you'll pray with me, please. Father, we thank you for this country, and we thank you for this community, and we just lift up Miss B. Cater in prayer right now, Father. We just ask that you will be with her and be with the physicians and her family, and just help her to feel your love and your support and your healing power, Father. We just lift her up and know that you can perform miracles, and we just ask that you do that. Father, as we come to the 9/11, as 9/11 approaches, Father, we just pray for all of those families that were impacted those years ago, and those families and people that continue to be impacted from that day. Father, we just ask that you'll bless this country. We ask that you'll bless those who serve and protect our freedoms. We thank you for those freedoms. We thank you for all the blessings. Thank you for the privilege to serve this community. Father, we ask that you'll just help us as we go about our decisions, help us to reflect your good word, your good will, Father, and guide us and direct us as we do your will tonight. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Julie.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That is a beautiful flag. They just had the Vietnam Wall up in Turner County. That's where Mr. West works up there. I believe several of us were up there during that. And, you know, I heard something, and I'll be brief. I heard that all soldiers should come home to a hero's welcome. I want all of us to always remember those Vietnam veterans that did not come home to a hero's welcome. They were spit on, they were cursed, and we were stupid for doing it. I never had a part in it, but we were dumb for doing it. Hug a veteran, especially hug a Vietnam veteran if you get a chance. Tell them we love them. At first business,
I said I was going to hug Johnny for real.
yeah, He is our veteran up here on this land. We'll hug him too. Just veteran, stand up.
Hi, sir. That's
Please.
it. Do you know?
God bless you. Thank you, thank you all. Chris stepped out. Had to go check his eye. We need an approval of the council agenda. If we have that. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion. Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Arnold, that's unanimous with the exception of Chris. Could you give Chris just one little second because we've got citizen input. He didn't leave, did he? Okay, maybe he'll come on back. Every month at these public meetings, we love to hear from our citizens, and good, bad, indifferent. We work for y'all, and that's who we're here to serve, and we love to hear from you and want to hear from you. I only have one person that signed up. Was there anybody else that wanted to approach us tonight? If there is, you need to raise your hand. If not, Jay Bryan, I'm going to ask you to come to the podium, sir, and please state your name and your home
Yes,
address.
sir. John Brian Bergeron. I live at 409 North Park Avenue here in Tifton. Sorry about your mom, Jamie. And Vice Mayor, how's your wife? I think she was in surgery last month when I was here.
Yes, sir. She's improving. She's beginning to try to walk again. Thank
Good,
you.
good. I'm actually going to take my 5 minutes tonight, Mayor. I didn't hear from anybody in the last 5 weeks about any progress or any word, or I heard nothing. So I'm here again trying to find out after 14 years what's going on. And I think I deserve some answers, really, if you want to know the truth. I know I got friends here. I like all of you. That's irrelevant. You know, for 14 years I've been paying taxes, and I haven't been given what I was promised. So.
You want to give us a little history? I know I wasn't here at the last meeting, and I see
Well,
like you bought some property with.
Well, the history, Jamie, is I bought a piece of property, and I was trying to look here on the city map. There's one little piece about this big on your map that's city property. That's me.
Yeah.
Everybody else in my area is county. How I was annexed is really irrelevant right now. That's a whole nother meeting. I don't think that was done very professionally. But during the annex process, I was told that road would get paved. And now, over 14 years, the county says it's a county road. I'm in the city, so they don't need to pave it. And the city says, well, that's a county road, and we don't need to pave it. Well, you know, my big argument, why am I in the city to start with? I'm the only one out there in the city. You know, again, I'm just in the middle of a county-city argument, and I got 400 mamas bringing their kids every week to come to my business, and they drive down a paved road for 14 years. I mean, drive down a dirt road for 14 years. And I sent y'all all pictures. I've tried. I mean, I'm patient. Obviously, it's 14 years. But enough's enough. I need to know, you know.
That's true.
Y'all give me 28 days to pay my water. You give me 12 months to pay my taxes, and I'm giving you 14 years to pave a road. I just feel like something needs to get done. And, you know, y'all pointed your finger at the county, they point the finger at you, and then ultimately me and my parents are the ones that are not being serviced properly. So
I'm not going to come to any conclusions tonight. You and I discussed this briefly, and you're going to look into it. I just want to ask if there is an option for him to de-annex out of the city.
I believe there is, Mayor.
Would that be an option for you if we can't help you? And we're going to ask Larry to really look into it.
well, I've asked I mean, that's the first I've heard of somebody saying there was a way, because I've asked everybody. I haven't asked Mr. Wilmot. Mr. Wilmot, just out of curiosity, I'd also like to know an answer. Is it, I mean, I don't even know how it could be legal to be annexed into the city without me having a right of way from the city to get to my own property.
As far as annexation, you have to have some contiguous property. So that's the first step. And of course, if you agree to it, you're 100% annexed, you know, you agree to go in. Quite frankly, Jay Bryan, I had, you know, after the last meeting,
Yes,
you know, I'm new at this, so I tried to find out where do we stand. And that's when I found out that there is this city-county debate about who's supposed to be doing what.
Yes, sir.
And so that's about it, because when we talked last meeting, you know, Larry and Johnny and I were going to get together and try to, you know, figure out where do we need to go from here.
Yes,
My
sir.
first step was to find out what's going on, and that's when I was told it's the, you know, it's the county road, and where do we go from here? So, quite frankly, that's as far as I got, as far as inquiring where we stand. And
Did someone recently secede from the city that went in and then got out? No.
No, but I believe, just from looking through the code book, that I saw something related to de-annexation, but I could be wrong. But I'd certainly let you know that, if that
Yeah.
would be an option.
I'd like to
But
research.
again,
Well,
I don't know the history or the, but I understood that your property was annexed, but the road wasn't. And so the road is a county road. But that's all I know.
No, and that's the truth. They annexed me from the interstate. How in the world I agreed to that, I have no, well, I know why I agreed to it, but, you know, one of the issues I have now is that I'm on city water. So if I de-annex, what happens to city water and sewage? And, you know, I've been paying city taxes for 14 years. And, you know, so it's a no-win for me. I mean, me and my parents have been really,
Well, I think that what I don't know is what the county's position is. I have not talked to anybody at the county, and I think I need to do that.
well, they were there this morning at 7:15 with that big machine, you know, grading that road, and they do it every time. And then that's been another problem. You know, I got pictures when we first opened, and now as they grade that road, all my crushed concrete is covered with the sand from the road, and the road's like this, so all the water drains into my property. So it's just and I've been asking politely and nicely for I don't know how many years. And I am no further along today than I was the day that I agreed to annex into the city.
Your annexation occurred to the Walmart property. You're contiguous with Walmart. That's how it was annexed. It's on the map. I can show it to you.
Larry, can I ask it, or Mr. Mayor, I guess, could I ask a couple of questions?
Oh, yeah,
Is that okay?
please do.
What would it take, what would the cost be, not just a ballpark, to pave that road?
Do you have any idea how
Yes,
long it
ma'am.
is?
It's 2/10 of a mile, Jim.
Yeah, I know, it's not.
It's 2/10 of a mile.
My question is, why can't we just annex the road into the city and pave the road?
The road would be contiguous with it. Because
I'm
it's
sure the county would not have any argument with that
I know,
whatsoever.
and then the problem goes, just annex, that just seems like such a simple solution. And if it's just, if the road's not much farther than from my seat to that door, so.
That's it. Let's just annex the road into the city, if the county said no, and fix the road. Can we do that? Can we budget, if we got enough, can we budget that for now, or for sir, excuse me.
That's all right, go ahead, Jim.
Um,
You don't have to call me by name. Just, as long as you know my road needs paved, you can call me.
Yeah, but, okay, if it takes budgeting for next year's budget, I know you're tired of this for 14 years, if you can wait a few more months, if that's what it takes. But what I'm saying, if we can budget that, and put it in our budget to pave this road, let's do that. Let's help this man. I mean, this is a businessman that's been having this problem for 14 years. And it's time we did something about it. I mean, in the sense of just keep
Mr.
passing
Johnny,
the buck to the county, to the county, to the city, to the county. Let's just see can we find some money and pay that 2/10 of the amount.
Who is, refresh my memory, Jay Brown, who's across the street? What's across the street from you? Nothing.
Pine Woods.
Woods.
UPS owns that
UPS owns
property.
that.
Okay.
UPS owns that property. Mr. Bloodworth built his distribution center on one corner, and Willis is next to me, and then
Right.
Payne Electric. And they don't, none of those people care if the road get paved.
Right, that,
They
yeah,
could care less.
yeah, I understand.
But,
And you're the only one in that area that's city limits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I might want to add too, you get a lot of traffic out. Don't you have competition?
Well, that's what I was
out
gonna
there
say,
with people all over
Mr. Johnny, we got
several
3,000 people coming in October.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, to be honest with you, it's fine if it's sunshine, but it's an embarrassment to the city of
Yeah.
Tifton
It is.
Wet rain.
It is.
when it rains, and you know, you gotta have a record on standby over there at the parking lot to get the people out. I mean, it's just,
And you've received support from the tourism group, you've received lots of support from various organizations to host those.
I wouldn't
So-
say lots of support, Julie, but I'd say support. Yeah, we
Okay.
have support. Yeah.
Okay. How, Larry, how could we do that?
And how soon could we do it?
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Can I have a few days to figure out an answer for you?
Yeah,
Seriously.
14 years, what's a couple more days? We can wait.
No, I just, again, I just, you know, in a lot of these meetings that I've been to, it just seems like if you don't speak up, you don't get heard. And, you know, I'm polite and try to do the right thing, write y'all letters, send you emails, get no responses. So I'm just gonna come every month and let y'all look at how much weight I gained last month and figure out when my road's gonna get paid. I mean,
Well, let's do this, Larry. Why don't you, would you do a favor for me and look into this and see how, give us a time frame of when we can get this gentleman's road paved? Because I mean, with all the competition coming into town, and I read about your competition there, and I'm pretty sure just like the pool. I did something about the pool coming in Tifton. People come into Tifton. Your first impression is the lasting impression. So we don't want to just look like we fell off the turnip truck, Andy Mayberry. You know, we want to look like Tifton, the city that we are. We
well, Mr.
represent
Johnny, if
the
you've been in my facility, that's the kind of facility I built.
I believe you, sir.
And,
I believe you.
And you know, when I sit here and listen to the first 30 minutes of your meeting about 13-year-olds that are in a bar room, well, I've got 400 kids that are 13 and below in my place,
Yeah.
trying to keep them out the bar room.
Yeah. Yes,
So y'all give me some help, Mr. Johnny.
Yes,
I
sir.
need it, man.
We
I'm
will.
struggling out there.
I promise you we will.
It's Johnny's district.
Yes,
Can
sir.
Be involved.
We will.
Get with Larry.
I'll come up with that.
We will.
We will.
And I promise. The last time I talked to you, I promised, but my wife had a back surgery, and I couldn't get.
Well, it sounds like you got a little passion about it.
I couldn't leave
Johnny, so I
her
appreciate it.
without her walking. But I can promise you, within the next few days, I will visit your business,
Yes, sir.
and we'll come up with a solution to get your road paved.
Well, I'm a lot prettier in shorts, so come see me. All right?
Yes, sir. I will.
Thank y'all.
Thank
you.
you.
All right, thank you,
Thank
sir.
Mr. Williams.
All right, that ends the citizen input, and thank you for that. Now we have the approval of the minutes. The following minutes, August the 4th, 2014, the regular council meeting, and the August 24th, 2014, the council workshop. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve item number 1.
Second.
I have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Ron. Now we come up on the phase where we have what we call consent agenda. Consent agenda is where we throw 2, 3, 4, 5 things together. We don't want our citizens to think that we're just throwing that and not working on it. These things are discussed in our workshop meetings, so we see some of it come through on the email. Some of us even make phone calls about it. So we have studied this. I'll ask the council, is there any one item of 2 through 6 that you want to remove from the consent agenda and talk about separately? Or are you prepared to vote on the entire consent agenda?
Let's vote on the entire consent agenda.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the consent agenda. I will ask for a motion at this time.
I'll make the motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Now we're going to move into our resolutions. So, the city manager, you want to start off with number 7 with the ESG?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. You recall several months ago, about, I think October, November, be about 24 months ago, we right-sourced, I like to call it, our water well production and our wastewater treatment plant operations, along with some lift stations and other facilities, engineering department, to ESG, and they were kind enough to return to us in about a 10-month period, about almost $395,000. which means that they did it $395,000 less expensively than we could have done it. And there's numerous reasons for that. Having that success behind us, council authorized me to look into right sourcing other areas of the city as was recommended by the E&E committee. Which, by the way, we're coming a long way toward completing the vast majority of the recommendations from the efficiency and effectiveness committee that was established some 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years maybe.
2.5, 3. You might want
It's
to
been a
send
while.
everybody out some information, update on all that. That's good.
Well, I have an updated draft on my desk getting ready to go out. So therefore, we looked at other departments. Now, your resolution that you have before you doesn't identify each of the departments that I'm going to talk about because it was all kind of lumped together under Public Works. But specifically what we're right sourcing to ESG, in addition to the water and wastewater operations, is the Public Works, which is the administrative staff, the street department, traffic department, building maintenance department, parks department, cemetery department, fleet maintenance shop, and natural gas department. All of those areas are included in this resolution. The collective total of the original contract and amended contract, $6,087,000 annually, or about $507,000 per month. This will also generate a savings to the city of Tifton in the neighborhood of $100,000. So if we're as successful with this amendment to the contract as we have been previously, this is probably going to set a new model for cities to look at following down the road. Every city is different. It works for Tifton. It may not work for another city, but the staff recommendation is to approve the amendment to the contract.
Let me stop you right there. Dan, you know I'm going to ask this. This would be just, when you mentioned the maintenance of the city's natural gas system, that's not the funds. We will still retain all the funds. This is
We retain
maintenance.
all capital assets.
Okay, so that's got nothing to do with that.
We're not selling anything. This is
Gotcha.
just the maintenance and operation of those departments.
Gotcha.
The other good news that you haven't seen yet is we'll be presenting here in the next few weeks, the second term of that rebate. Last year is going to be very similar to the first year.
Fantastic.
So that'll be, I'd hope to have it ready tonight, but we weren't quite able to get there. But and again, that's for a short period as well, like first. So close to $400,000.
Let me say this too. I have gone out and talked to many of our people there, our employees that have gone with ESG, and I would say almost 100%. They're happy. They're good, and you know HR first. You know it lowers. That's a plus for us too. Those employees went with ESG. And that was what we said to start with. It wants you to be good to our folks, and you have to. There's some things you can do in private that you can't do as vigorously in the public, and you all do it well.
Thank you.
We thank you for that.
Do y'all do property taxes?
No.
All right. Larry, thank you so much. You're welcome. Is there any questions, y'all? All right. Thank you, Dan. We're going to move on to item number.
Mayor, we
Sorry.
need a motion.
I make a motion to
Well, we did.
approve item number 7.
Second.
Could you include that authorizing city manager to enter into the amended contract,
Yes.
please?
Yes. I'll accept that friendly amendment.
Thank you, sir.
7 and 8?
Sir?
7 and 8? Do 7 and 8?
No.
Just
Just
7?
No, just
Oh,
seven.
I'm sorry.
Just 7.
He's made a motion for 7. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Wes, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous, Ms. Brown. Item number 8. Ms. Lois, you want to talk to us about item number 8?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you're aware, the city is party to an interest rate exchange, which we call the lease pool. You're familiar with that. Sometimes we finance heavy equipment and other items through GMA, which manages that lease pool for the city. And with the Dodd-Frank Act Compliance Act that was approved. It's the 2010 Act. There are certain changes to that agreement that needs to take place. I believe most of them are before you. There is a resolution that is required that we bring before you and approve. And part of that resolution is a credit support annex which basically gives 100% collateral on all of those funds that we have. It provides for that. There's also a custody agreement, which is where GMA will negotiate this agreement with the U.S. Bank and handle this for the city. The Dodd-Frank basically is to get us in compliance with that law, and it also requires us to hire a financial advisor, which will work with GMA to make sure that all of our swap money, which is the swap money, is the interest rate which we pay for our loans and then receive back for the interest earned. They swap that out, and that's what equals our low interest rate on those loans when we purchase equipment and items that goes through GMA. So basically, it's a large legal document. There's several here. I will attempt to try to explain each one of them, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All this
you
is
might have.
contiguous with the rating of the high AAA plus or whatever that is. All
Yes,
that's
it is.
contiguous with everything.
Yes, it is, Mayor.
I thought that somewhere.
It has to do with the JP Morgan. They're
Right.
basically, all the money is with them, and it requires them to post a certain amount of money to securitize our funds, along with all of the other lease pool money that they manage under that 1998. It was a 1998 COPS, Certificates of Participation Bond, that was entered into by several organizations.
I tell you, this is a very thorough document. I haven't heard this yet, we're talking about the mayor. Do something, but.
Guarantee this.
Hey.
Personal
You know what I got right
guarantee.
here? I guess that without limiting the foregoing, if the mayor is not available to execute the documents herein, authorize the mayor pro tem shall execute such documents. We'll take care of this, huh?
No.
Johnny, if I drop dead, it's all yours, but.
Passing the buck.
I'll be here and I'll be glad if you okay it and that man okays it, I'm good for it.
Yes.
It looks good to me. Anybody else want it? It's good. Good work. Great work. Oh, by the way, you're still not leaving Tifton, you know that. You've got just enough time, but we're still building the fence. You think there's a fence around Mexico, there'll be a fence around Tibb County, and I'll let you go. She's been great for us, folks. She's our CFO for the city. It's been a pleasure. A pleasure, Lois. Stay long as you want. And thank you. Any questions? We need to vote on it, right? I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
I've got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, that is unanimous, Ms. Rowland. Thank you, Lois. Now we're going to move into the ordinance, and we're just about done. We got an ordinance providing for amendment of that was in the public. Okay, so we're ready to vote on that. Do you need to say anything about it? Okay, item number 9, have a motion.
I'll make a motion for item number 9.
Except, I'll make a second for that.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Do we have other business? Item number 10. That is discussion of future council meeting in Tifton.
Yes, sir. We had quite a great visit at Tifton. Councilwoman Smith carried me out there and showed me how well they had redone Tifton, and she thought it would be a great idea if we had a council meeting out there so that we could review or look at how they did their displays and all the historical propaganda they have on the walls out there, if you will, for lack of a better term. But I'm gonna turn it over to Julie and let her, she's talked to some of the folks out at Dayback, and
David's okay, right?
Absolutely. I've spoken with Pam Leonard, and they are welcoming us with open arms. So with your permission, what I'd like to do is get back with them and schedule a date, maybe the November meeting. I know I've got to check with them to see what the school schedule is. We've also invited the Rural Studies Program students to come and attend, and any of the political science students, anybody that would be interested in, any of the student or faculty that would be interested in participating in one of our meetings. But that facility is exceptional. It is something. It is, if you have not been to Tift Hall, I encourage every citizen to go and see. It's just exceptional. So,
Julie, I'll invite my class to come out too.
Okay, that'd be good, because I know you're an instructor there, so.
I won't be a pirate by that time, hopefully.
But with your permission, I'd like to get back with Pam for maybe the November meeting, and then the other part of this that I'd like to mention, you know, we used to, well, before I was on the council used to, from time to time, have the council meeting at various locations so that the meeting could be made available to various people in certain districts, or, you know, rotate amongst our districts. And I just wanted to throw that out. We don't have to make a decision this evening, obviously, but to think about maybe moving our council meetings maybe to neighborhood service center or to a school or someplace periodically to make us available and accessible to the citizens in those areas.
I know when I was running for office in 2007, I think October or November, we had one out of Dayback. I'm not sure which hall it was in, but I remember going out, and it was a very wonderful setting, and it was very good, and I'm glad you came up with this idea. Chief, is there any problem with having them other places, you know, with the gun thing and all this kind of stuff? You see any problem?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Okay.
Just maybe
Well,
once a year, not anything with, you know,
yeah.
I mean, this is home, but just occasionally.
Yeah.
Just
Had a motorcycle club over there. I thought they wanted to have a meeting there too. I'm just gutted out. No, I think this sounds good, Julie. Thank you for bringing this up.
Oh,
I
well,
look
I'll
forward
see about
to
the November meeting,
taking
if
this
that's
out.
okay. All right.
Yeah. We have a,
Or October.
November council meeting, whatever the ABAC schedule is.
Do you want me to see if October is available? That's awfully, that's soon.
Whatever their schedule.
What do y'all want to do?
you lead them.
Okay, well, I'll get back with Pam Leonard, and Dr. Bridges, is, like I said, has just been so welcoming to, and is very excited about the prospects.
Is he gonna feed us?
I didn't ask.
He fed the legislators the other day. I was out there for a meeting, and he fed all them, left me and the new senator and all of us look at each other.
He's going to feed you a very well-worded speech.
Oh, I prefer for that, with cowboy boots on. That's fine. He has done a lot, we appreciate it too. We don't have an executive session. Anybody got anything else? I hope your eye gets better.
I appreciate that.
Well, it's a duck from here on out.
Well, I know it. It's the last time I asked Rob for help. I'm kidding. Now I've got a scratch at the center of my cornea, and it's unfortunately painful and sensitive to light, so I have to be in power for a few days.
You can make it Halloween.
Where is Jessica?
Save it for Halloween, I guess.
Jessica. Where's Jessica? Y'all, I want to make reference. This is Jessica, isn't it? Rona, did you help her with this? Just a teeny. Y'all look at this. Jessica did a splendid job, and I wish she was still here to hear this, but she did a real super job. It's in here. Oh, that's right. I'm the only one antique that has the book. All y'all use the, see, I get to keep a copy of it. See.
Yeah, she does our Facebook page.
She does.
She does all
She
kinds
does
of
a
stuff.
super job.
She is awesome.
Larry, you and Norm, please tell her that we're commending her about this. It's a super job. Especially that picture we got one attractive person out of the whole 5 of us.
Yeah, Johnny does look good.
Yeah.
Mayor, I think this meeting is...
I think it's gone down here. Thank y'all for coming. Did you have anything? Okay. And it's a pleasure. Bert, thank you. Ricky, everybody. Say Charles.
Let's go ahead and get it.
Okay. No, take my pen back away.
Hey, Jonathan.